Folks, we are live. Welcome to Gamers Health. I am Eric Tenkar, your bartender in the OSR, and with me, as we get every Saturday night, except for the few times that we aren't, which will probably be ShireCon. I don't know if I'll have a chance to do a live stream, but my lovely wife, Rach.
Hello.
So, um, I guess it's the usual. We have a topic tonight, as you saw. Truth is absolute. Perspective is fluid. And when I do say before we dive into it, when I say truth is absolute, I'm talking about objective truth. There is also subjective truth. Subjective truth is something like based upon my interactions with Zach Smith, I think he's a piece of shit. Okay, that's my subjective truth. It doesn't mean that he literally is a piece of shit, and doesn't mean that other people need to believe that. And other people might have their own truth with Zach Smith, and oh, he's a great guy. So, just you know, uh, subjective truth is pretty much perspective. But we will delve into that later. So, um, I am back to struggling with my. I think actually the worst thing that happened to me in a way was the Munjaro Rich because it got me out of the habit of watching my carbs closely,
Mm-hmm.
and it seems that I have a rebound of spiking in my glucose because I had that crutch, and now my equilibrium was off. So we've been looking to find ways to address that. Um, so one of the things that we bought today, and I figured I'd bring it over.
Who makes this?
Tomorrow,
I don't think I've ever heard that. I don't
I
know that it's ever been featured.
yeah. So these are carb wise. So you get 8 wraps. 8 wraps was like I don't know, 5.49 or something like that. But it's got 11 total carbs per wrap, 60 calories. But of those carbs, 11 of those 11 carbs, 8 are fiber. So this should not spike your wrap. Sorry, should not spike your glucose. It's a wrap. Um, but tonight we tried it as a pizza crust, which works and doesn't work. We're gonna probably experiment a bit more with it. Um, certainly doesn't work if you try to cut it into 4 pieces because they come like floppy. Very floppy. It's kind of like the pizza you need a knife and fork to eat with.
Yeah.
But I ate
Connecticut
mine.
style.
I ate mine off the plate and just kept on like sliding it off the plate into my mouth, and that kind of worked. Tasted great. So we used each of us had 160-calorie tortilla, which I air fried for 2 minutes and took out. It was nice, like a puff pastry.
Yeah, it looked like a puri bread, like the Indian
Like
fried puffed.
yeah, or like a UFO. What am I? Who am
Mm-hmm.
I to say? But I pushed that down. Little Thrive Market keto marinara sauce. Uh, we got deal on peppers when we were at the supermarket earlier today. So I put some fresh uh, orange pepper, um, fresh red onion, fresh beefsteak tomato from the garden, which was spot on, uh, turkey pepperoni, and then followed it up with fresh mozzarella pearls. So it came out very tasty. And now we had another crust that we were going to use, but when I saw, I think it was King Arthur's.
I think so.
Um,
It,
it,
it was based. It was yeast based, and so it
it needs an hour.
needed an hour to
To,
rest.
if we didn't have,
Rise.
yeah,
Yeah.
we didn't have the hour, so
Mm.
so that wasn't happening. So, but you know what? The pizza tasted very well. I have a picture of it. I was gonna put it up, but I totally
And it was
forgot.
just enough.
Yeah, it was. We'll snack. with some cheese and crunchies, low carb
Yeah.
crunchies later on tonight. At some point, likely during the show, my son will arrive uh, from from Tennessee via Salt Lake City. Don't ask. I don't ask. He works for the airline, so he makes his way whether. I just told him, "Oh, you coming today? Well, you're probably not getting a pickup from the airport." So he's just like, "Let's make sure somebody lets me in." So
There's somebody there. So.
yeah. So now Rach found something that I thought was really spot on. Um, and here's the thing: if you get like fresh herbs, unless you're using a lot of herbs, a lot of times you buy the bunch. They last maybe the better part of a week, and then
I don't even know about that with some of them.
yeah, and you're throwing them out. So Lighthouse, LITEHOUS, has
It sounds charming. HAUS.
freeze. No, HOUS. Sorry, not HE.
Oh.
It's not Twyman. So, and yeah, I don't mean to disappoint you, Rach. It's not Twyman. So, I personally don't like cilantro. So, when Rach buys cilantro, it goes to waste. But this is freeze dried cilantro, self stable, and it goes 1 for 1. Hey, Don, welcome. I see Tom's already here. So, if you like your herbs, you like your fresh herbs, you can get them freeze dried, which is going to be about as close as you're going to get to fresh. Now, we also got, hey, Naughty, welcome. We also got guacamole herb blend. And
yeah, it looks really interesting.
I was tempted to
because you could use that too, like to spice tacos. And,
oh God, yeah.
You know.
Oh, it actually says open the lid and you will smell the difference.
Wait, what? No. Yeah.
Okay, hold on a second.
They have to be refrigerated once you open it.
No.
Not at all?
No. Well, hold on a second. Let me check. Let me check, though.
Yeah, I'm not going to mess with it too
No refrigeration required.
At all.
No.
Oh.
All right. There we go. I had to get my little teefuses in there. So let's see how fresh the freeze-dried smells. Hold on. Oh, oh.
Oh, that does. It smells like tacos at the cumin right off the bat.
Oh man, that's so. So the avocado blend has red onion, cilantro, dried lemon peel, dried tomato, red chili, garlic, dried cumin. It's freeze dried.
This one doesn't carry as much of, it's just green citrusy smell that you smell like when you tear the leaves.
Right.
Yeah.
So they also had the red onion,
but
which
I
was
still
tempted.
think it could be very good.
But,
and it's better than paying that money and just not being able to use it all.
Yeah. So they say it goes teaspoon for teaspoon.
Now, how do you use it? How do you make it?
It doesn't say you have to reconstitute it.
No?
I think if you were making a guac, your guac is probably going to have enough moisture in it to reconstitute. But, you can experiment. I couldn't tell you one way or the other. You never know. So, for those following along at home, we've been having
this smells more intense.
We've been having a shitty situation, but we've had plumbing issues. They seem to be rectified now, at least for now. So, but it's been stressful. And here's that: you don't choose the stress that you're in, right? That's the whole thing about stress. You don't get to go, oh, I'd like to choose this type of stress. No, you don't get that. So
I'll take this, but not that.
So you have to deal with what is given to you when it's given to you. All right, this isn't. It's not like you can go. We used to call it boss shopping. It's like, oh, I know so and so is going to give me crap, so let me go to Rachel, and Rachel will treat me nicely. So you can't boss shop your stress. what happens is what happens. You got to deal with it as it comes up. Dawn says you do not need to reconstitute. Moisture in the food will reconstitute it fine.
Oh, gotcha.
Uh, Tom, when I was a kid, when we moved to Alaska, my dad would do a magic trick with a cup of coffee. When it was cold enough, he'd step out on the porch and toss the coffee in the air, and it would not come down.
What?
It would, go,
What?
it would come out of the
It
cup.
would freeze up in the air?
It would freeze up.
No way.
One long freeze dried into a puff of vapor. Oh, not even. I thought it would just freeze. It just went. Whoop.
That wasn't ice coffee trickling down.
No. It just went bye bye. Hello, bye bye.
Wow.
So
Vaporized.
now, my plan for those following along at home, my plantar fasciitis, which
The plantar fasciitis saga.
yeah, is actually feeling significantly better. We did about a little bit over a mile long walk today at Juniper Valley Park out here in Queens. So it was a long walk for a mile because our dog was making many friends. So
that's our dog.
So, but I could feel, not even discomfort. I could feel that there was still a tension in the heel in the plantar,
and you will feel that.
But I walked it. I walked it at not my quickest pace, but not my slowest pace. So, but man, this dog was making friends left and right. Don, nice thing about stress in my life, my wonderful wife is always there for me, always supportive, and she really helps me deal with my troubles. She was a home run in the wife's department.
Thank God.
And Don, listen, support is one of those underrated things about stress that people forget about. Because a lot of times with stress, just touch on stress for a moment, we think it's ours. Like we try to own it. All right, especially members of the male species. This is mine. I got to take care of this. And the thing is, you can take help. You can take assistance. You can seek out somebody who may have better ideas or have advice or just support, and will allow you to vent out some of that stress. So you don't need to internalize it, because the first thing that happens when you internalize it is that you what? Externalize it. You internalize it, and then you start venting it off at random people, or not so random people who don't deserve
displacement. You mean?
I'm not the professional at this, Rachie. If for me, displacement. Like if I'll physically displace somebody. But,
oh yeah.
Oh yeah. But hold on, folks. I've got a message that Rach and I were expecting. Yeah. Guess what, Rach? Guess who just found out that Chris is on his way?
Casey.
Yeah.
Very sweet, because she'll ask, "Can I stay?"
Yep. Is it okay for me to pass by so late? Of course. So, Don, I will say to you, Tom, Rach, and Tammy, you've been my surrogate coping mechanisms. You four have been awesome also. Well,
thank you for trusting us with all that. It's so much better to go through these things with other people, and other people who can understand and share the same feelings, and have some similar reactions that you might have, or similar feelings, and because you never want to be alone with that,
right? And that's the whole thing too. Like when I was working, a lot of times you'd have like a heavy job, as we would call it, and more than one sector car show up, and it would go best when everybody worked as a team. but sometimes people, it was such a Megillah, as I sometimes would call it. It was such an overwhelming event that everybody started to silo off, and everybody was like, kind of doing their own thing. When you
Silo off, meaning, oh, my expertise is that. My expertise
not
is
even my
that.
expertise, just that I'm just doing this one little function,
Oh, a
and
tunnel vision.
yes, it becomes a tunnel vision. And when you have, uh, I don't know, sure, we got out. We're being asked about sunburns, Rach. This is, by the way, Rach is the sunburn expert. For those who haven't caught on to the fact, she's a little paler than the rest of us in general. So we have aloe vera, like it is coming out of.
Oh, and sunscreen galore because you just can't be without it. I only have one hat though.
Oh,
I do collect sunglasses though.
I wear my sunglasses in the night. They're picking on the disabled in on the side there. Um, just discovered thingy games on Dry Theory picked up under 10 Cars Tavern. The tavern's proprietor was Erik, and then the credits at the end, which explained it. Yes, yeah. Listen, for those that don't know, 10 Cars Tavern has appeared in numerous releases. What Bare Bones Fantasy shows up in a setting there with permission. If you have Bard's Gate, uh, the release from a couple of years ago from Frog God, there is a 10 Cars Tavern or a Technars Tavern. It's 10 Cars Tavern. It's done with permission. It was that section's written by James Spahn. I was supposed to write it, but I was not much of a creative at that time, and I was overwhelmed because writing for a real product, me, little old me, hell no. Um, oh, by the way, there's a link at the bottom of the screen. I just want to explain what it is. It's for Grazie, and I'm going to say right now, Grazie is a wine. I like the red myself. Grace likes the white, but Grazie is a wine that comes in a box. And I usually order 4 boxes a month, and each box is about 5 bottles of wine. So that tells you pretty much what my drinking habits are. I don't drink much beer anymore. I drink a lot of wine, and it's low sugar wine, low carb wine. It does not spike my blood sugar, which is amazing. So that is an affiliate link. If you happen to make a purchase through it, and they I think your first purchase they give you these two like Italian wine glasses. I didn't know the Italian wine glasses look more like tall shot glasses.
Oh,
We're thinking like the American, French, British. Like you got the
he's
stem
thinking of a
glasses.
stem and
Yeah,
and
yeah. It's
sort of a
right. This doesn't even have that like
goblet kind of.
doesn't even have that goblet look to it. It's just I guess more practical. I guess when you have wine with pretty much every meal, you need a more practical glassware that won't break all the time, and that's Brodsky supplies that. I don't know, but I was able to. Yeah, they're not even flutes. They're thicker glass. I mean, they're put it to this way. They're not large, but if I had to improvise a weapon for use at a local bar, they might serve me well. Just saying. Um, gosh damn it. I'm multitasking here. She wanted to make sure she didn't spook my parents when she came. Like, yes, announce yourself. They're probably going to expect her anyway, but
Mm-hmm.
now, by the way, Don, just so you know, um, a flute has a different meaning in NYPD parlance.
Oh, it's not nice.
Well, a flute, you would when you asked for a flute.
It's a skin flute.
No, 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 Rach, Rach, you're
I
told,
grew up with brothers. What do you
you're
want? And a
told,
sister, but
you're totally off base. In the NYPD, a flute would usually be asking for your your alcohol, your liquor, to be put into a plain
oh,
packaging, like pour my put my wine into a empty Pepsi bottle, and that way you've got your flute. You just take your flute with you. This was before my time on the job.
yes, in a more actively drinking job.
Yes. Uh, Don's like, Rach went down that road I was thinking. Yeah. You're all bad. You're all bad, I tell you. No. Before I came on the job in 96, hit the streets in 97. And up until, I don't know, 92, 93, uh, some of the vending machines for soda would have an unmarked section on the vending machine, like like Coke, Pepsi, Sunkist, nothing. And if you hit the nothing, out came Coors Light or Bud Light. Probably before the Coors Light cans were tall. I don't think they were tall. So that's
oh, they were regular 12-ounce.
Yeah, regular 12-ounce size cans. I know the ESU unit I worked next to as a sergeant had that going on until about 94 when the merge happened, and then things started getting cracked down on. As Rach would know, when you have stressful jobs, we're just going back to talk about stress for a while, a lot of times people escape into vices. Okay.
Right, or you drink together to build
Deal
rapport and
a bond.
yes, establish trust and all that.
Well, the establishing trust part is where they want to. That's when they want to see if you're willing to drink in the precinct parking lot, which was a gray area, because they wanted to see how shaky you were. So that's when they would do that. Be careful with them flutes, or you could end up on a farm. Well, yeah.
Yes. Who said that? The
that was
farm.
Tom.
Yes, that's exactly what they call it, the farm.
Yep. And I knew people
Marworth.
I knew people that got farmed. And I knew people that got farmed multiple times. I knew a person that got farmed, and the farm threw him out, saying, "You might be crazy, but you're not an alcoholic."
You need more mental health care.
Yeah.
Speaking of silos, you go to the mental health place, not in this store.
Yeah. This was an individual who ran for union office as a delegate.
Wow.
On the grounds that he lost more time in and out of the trial room than anybody else on the job at the time, and was still on the job. So he knew how to negotiate. I think that losing more time than everybody else does not mean that you know how to negotiate somebody's penalty down. It means that pissing in the captain's personal sink is probably not what to do if you want to make friends with the CO. Just saying. Happened to be named Mike. Go figure that one out. Nice enough guy, but whack job. All right. So our truth is absolute, perspective is fluid. All right. When I'm talking about truth, like I said earlier, truth in this case is the observable truth. Water is wet. Well, that's true. You could say water is dry. That's not even a subjective truth. Okay, that's a lie. Ice is cold. ice is cold. Fire is hot. Fire can burn you. These are all objective truths. But subjective truth is a lot of times in law enforcement, dealt with a lot of subjective truth, or what I call perspective. You can have two people witness the same crime. They can both tell you what they saw, and they can both tell you completely different stories, and yet both of them are telling the truth as they saw it.
How we see or experience things can be very much related to our own previous experiences, our traumas, our just life experiences.
Yeah, and it's not even it. Again, if I'm looking at an event from it's happening at the corner of First and Goddard, and I'm to the north of it, and somebody else is to the south of it. Guess what? We're seeing the same event, but from different perspectives. Certain different things are going to be seen by different people.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing with subjective truths. Subjective truths are malleable.
Mm.
They're fluid. Like when somebody goes, oh, it's subjective truth is kind of like 1984. Where you go, well, it's like I love chocolate ice cream. I really love chocolate ice cream. The next day, he's like, hey, I got you chocolate ice cream. I never liked chocolate ice cream. Chocolate ice cream is shit. I only eat vanilla. But dude, yesterday you liked chocolate. I never said that because their truth is fluid. Some people have truths that will change as to how whatever benefits them. Well,
oh, sure.
you
Like
know,
it's shaded by your gains
yes,
or losses.
right. Nadi has a good point. Unfortunately, in today's world, people are confusing subjective versus objective truths, and
Yeah.
social media isn't helping.
Yes.
People think that their opinion is truth. It isn't. Okay. Now, that being said, two people can make truthful statements that can conflict over the same incident. Now, couldn't be conflicting because, and then neither one's lying, but it might be because they're conflicting because one person is omitting information that they think is irrelevant. Um, and maybe the other person, their view of what happened is colored by, like Rach said, their own life experiences. Okay, but it's similar to, I don't know, like a witness in a court case. All right, a witness in a court case, there's only one truth. Okay, now they can talk their, they can testify, and the jury is going to listen to their testimony, and the jury can say, well, I believe A and E were truthful, but B, C, and D, I don't know. Do we believe it? And they can disregard those parts. All right.
Their thing doesn't add up.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Too much discrepancy in that particular truth.
Yeah. So I mean,
Mhm.
did anybody see 12 Angry Men? Great
A long time ago in
classic
school.
movie.
Mhm.
All right. And listen, I've been a juror,
Me
and
too.
to watch them, and I think it was Jack Klugman's character, um, talking about what was the old lady who could not have seen what she saw because she couldn't see the back of the
Mm.
courtroom. But in her mind, she saw what she saw. It's a subjective truth to her. Maybe it's even objective, but it isn't real. So, but a lot of times when it comes to court cases, you'll have conflicting testimony coming from the same person for the same event. I've seen it in my time, and what usually when they come up with the new account, well, what I meant to say the first time is yada yada yada.
Yeah, I mean that's where it gets kind of sus when the story changes
Because
or flip flop.
right, because now as an investigator, which technically I was for the last 12 years of my career.
Mhm.
As an investigator, when you're listening to testimony or when you're reading somebody's statement, especially when you were dealing with people, complainants. Remember, I dealt with complainants complaining about cops. When their story was inconsistent, it led a lot of other questions to be asked. When their story changed from he did this, this, and this, and they go, well, I'm not sure if he did this, but he did do this. Were you embellishing before to get for yeah, you want to get him into more trouble? You start to lose faith in that witness, that source,
Yes.
because when truth becomes obviously subjective, it is no longer objective, is no longer absolute. And subjective truth has value to the person that believes it. Okay? But your subjective truth has no value to anybody else. Honestly. Okay? I can't if you tell me you know water is dry and you honestly believe it because you one time touched water and it didn't leave anything on your hand and you insist that it's dry, um doesn't change reality. And anything else that you say later on, I'm going to be going, is this an objective truth? Is this somebody who's being truthful in the absolute sense? Or is this person believe that truth is malleable, that truth falls under their whims?
Right. Or it's malleable, like it just makes me think of like a dependent person, somebody that like always needs like a relationship or a connection to somebody because they really have so much self-doubt that
Yeah.
they feel that they can't affect change or affect outcomes in their life or their ability to get tasks done or things like this.
Well,
Yeah.
those are people that don't
Yeah.
have their own truths, right? Their truths
Right. It's always
are
projected onto the other person.
right. Well, their
Mhm.
truth is like, well, if jackass number one tells me that the sky is yellow, well then, but they're gonna. I mean, they're my best buddies now, and I'm gonna. Well, then the sky is yellow, and I will believe it
Mm.
because they're malleable, they're fluid. They don't. There's one thing
That
too.
they have to believe that in order to
Have that can
have that dependency
yes,
continue,
yeah,
have
and
that person to do for.
we could probably do a whole show one day on dependent personalities. People,
Right. We could go through like some of the, symptoms and, um, you know, uh, highlights of what a personality is like when
yeah,
someone's dependent.
because and listen, in reality, we are all dependent to some extent on others.
Oh, sure.
All right. I mean,
Well,
I'm
we
a
would like to think it's interdependence,
yes,
not an out of balance dependency.
right. But
Yeah.
there are people in the world who can read the room
Mm-hmm.
and go, this person this person needs to be told what the truth is.
Right.
This person, and listen, like I said, subjective truth has value to you, but if your subjective truth isn't even consistent, then it has no value, right? Not even to you. If your truth is so malleable that others, and that's kind of like what happens when you have religious fanatics or
Mm-hmm.
cults, all right? The cult leader,
The charismatic leader
I'm going to be the charismatic.
who are often antisocial, like psychopaths.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the charismatic leader of the cult
Uh-huh.
or the gang or the clique or whatever it is. All right, and he tells you, hey, we are directly descended from God, and upon our death we will be gods. Well, that's a subjective truth that he is putting on everybody else. It's, they're going to take it as absolute truth if they truly believe. See, here's the thing: when you don't have the ability to differentiate within you between objective and subjective truth, like
Discernment.
discernment,
Yeah.
if you can't separate that, like I said, my personal, I've said this many times, my personal opinion of Zach Smith from my interactions with him is he's a piece of shit. I don't like the guy. All right, that's my truth. Rach has never met
No.
him. Okay, if you ask, I don't know, Joe the lawyer, who has met him, his opinion is likely going to be different than mine. That's his truth. Is there an absolute truth? I don't know. Maybe it's irrelevant in this case when it deals with individuals, right? I don't know. Depends on the truth we're talking about. I'm giving an opinion. Now, if I said uh, Zach Smith was a porn actor, that's an absolute truth. If I said Zach Smith was a porn star, that's likely subjective.
Oh, because of the value as a star.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
So there's all this stuff that goes into this. But if you don't even have the commitment to stick with your own truth, if you are so weak willed, if you are such a hanger on that
Hmm.
you need somebody else to tell you
What's
what,
real and what's true.
and what your beliefs need to be, and
Yeah.
um, that's you belong in Jonestown. And
Oh shit.
God rest those people. All right, because none of them deserved what happened.
No.
But that's the situation you're putting yourself into. Because you're going to take yourself into a position where you're not making decisions for yourself anymore because somebody else is telling you all the decisions that you have to make. Because you have put uh, the truth, the the ability to discern what is truthful and what is not. You've taken it out of your own hands and you've given it to another and they said, so what's the truth here? Uh, uh, you know, is Tenkar a jackass or is he a nice guy? Well, I'm going to tell you the absolute truth. The absolute truth is Tenkar is a jackass. And you guys go, okay. You have there are people that are like that.
Yeah, that's so weak.
Again, I'm not saying that subjective truth doesn't have value. It certainly does. Some people might even say that having faith in religion is a subjective truth
Hmm.
because can you objectively say there is a God? Faith requires subjective truth. That's my opinion. But you can lose faith, right? That is part of that fluidity of subjective truth. You can gain faith. Again, it's a subjective truth. That is the fluid part of truth, the subjective aspect. Absolute truth is what this world is built upon. Subjective truth is usually the parts that cause conflict and tear it down. That's where that stuff happens.
I don't know. I wonder if it can be used to kind of like help. Like, oh, what's each person's subjective truth? Like, well, here's what it looks like from over here. What does it look like on that side? You know,
Mm-hmm.
um, like race wise or culture wise, to like understand what people go through better. So that we can kind of understand each other better and maybe have more
Well,
peace and understanding.
Don has a good point. To be successful, you have to be willing to accept that you are flawed and
Yes.
face it, sometimes publicly. Isn't that's part of the subjective truth of being uh, generally religious, is to accept that you are not perfect, that you would like to live your life as your spiritual leaders, your church, your holy book would like you to, and then that's your subjective truth. And if you fall short of that, you try to pick yourself up. Some people have going to veer off course a little bit. Some people lack the self-esteem to be able to look at their flaws and say, "Hey, I'm flawed.
Right.
How
It's
can I
too
improve
much of
myself?"
a narcissistic injury.
It's a bit narcissist. It's a bit of that. Usually, I think they are.
Or, somebody in their life made them feel so ineffectual,
Mm-hmm.
so like immobilized that to acknowledge a flaw creates that all over again.
Well, yeah. I mean, and that's the thing, right? When you allow somebody else to dictate what is going to be your truth,
Hmm.
you are opening yourself up to abuse.
Yeah.
Really, you know, you opening yourself up to getting torn down and built up, because that's part of this whole. If I'm telling you
Well,
what the truth is, I will tear you down so I can rebuild you. It's almost like what the Marines do, right? But they do it well.
or an abusive relationship where
Mm-hmm.
it's like, I'm gonna have you believe, you know, have you not believe in what you can do, because if you do, you'll leave me.
Yes, and that's a huge part of it. I mean, nobody at in my opinion, all right, I wasn't there, but Jonestown, these were people that were looking for somebody to give them truth because they could not find a way in themselves to find even subjective truth that showed themselves as having value. So your subjective truth still has to value yourself. If your subjective truth doesn't find value in yourself, then you are going to go search out others
Right, and I
to
think
make you
that those
complete.
guys were promised a lot.
Oh yeah.
Like they were promised this like utopian existence where like they'd live off the land, and it would be like you know, a racially equal situation where everybody could get along, and you know it would just be a beautiful place like that. But that wasn't really the plan,
No.
you know.
So it's it seems to me that again, if you can't be consistent in your subjective truth or your subjective values, even because a lot of what your subjective truth is your subjective values. It's your moral code. That's on you. That's your truth. What I the code that I live by is my subjective truth of how I expect myself to live. And if you don't have that in you, then you will look for others to supply it. And I think that we've been seeing that in the world at large, in social media, in our communities. Uh, People that are very eager to jump at somebody else's words and almost parrot them because they don't have that ability.
It makes me kind of think of there's like a child development specialist, Piaget, and he, you know, breaks down like the developmental stages of children. And there's one stage where, you know, kids can't see the perspective of things from the other side. Like you can watch videos on YouTube of the kids like um they will look at like a globe maybe from one side, and they'll be like, it's this, it's that, it looks like this, it's shaped like that. But then when somebody is looking at it and describing it from their side, it's like, no, you're lying. No, it doesn't look like that. It only looks like this. With that
Right.
only looks like this is where people are getting stuck, where we all need to be open to what does it look like to you? What does it look like
Oh yeah.
on your side of where you're sitting?
Again, there's a perspective to that, and there's
Mm-hmm.
like yeah, there are certain absolute truths in this world. Listen, there's if we're talking court cases, right? There's absolute truth when it comes to evidence, like in a homicide trial. The absolute truth. You've got a body. It's got
Mm-hmm.
bullet holes in it. That's your victim. That's an absolute truth. There's no subjective truth to that.
Right.
Okay. Um, Maybe you have a weapon that you know was used based upon the entry wounds, based upon forensic evidence. You know that weapon is a weapon that was used. Now, when it comes to things like, well, do we know who used it? And it's not necessarily subjective. There is an absolute truth. It's can you find that absolute truth?
Mm.
You know, and John agrees with you 100%, Rach.
Okay, thanks. Great minds think alike.
Yeah. So now, I was gonna say later this month, but there's only like one weekend left this month, right? Yeah, 26th, and then we're in September.
Right.
We are hooking up with a professional, a therapist that uses RPGs in
Yes,
their
this is
career.
really exciting
Uh,
stuff.
they are from the UK. Hold on, I can get a day. I mean a name. Hold on a second. I can get a name. Daniel Hand. So Daniel Hand just released a book, um, and it's about RPGs and therapy. We are going to bring him in.
Like an adult play therapy kind of
Yeah,
situation, which is really cool.
and we are going to bring him in to discuss it because it's kind of like what we do, right? So I don't know which weekend it's going to be. It could wind up being the holiday weekend, although I almost am loath to do the holiday weekend because although
Hmm.
we'll be here, I don't know what kind if we'll
We
get
don't
the
know what
other.
other folks are doing, or
Yeah,
how they could commit. So maybe the
maybe
the
the following.
weekend after, so
Right,
that this way
right. Because then
he gets good.
yeah, good coverage.
Yeah.
It's really we're kind of excited about this. Now, if you watch our live streams next Friday, Rach and I are going to be in the city. In the city. Bum, ba, da, ba. We are going to be watching a Jimmy Dore show live, and we got meet and greet tickets for afterwards.
Yay.
So it's going to be fun. So we don't know. Glenn is offered to. I don't know if the random party can do Thursday. I think there's gaming going on Thursdays, but Glenn is offered to do a special episode on Thursday night as a live stream. Maybe grab Bad Mike. Maybe we'll just call something different. The I don't know. The random live stream. Who the hell knows what we're going to call it? But that's likely what's going to happen next Thursday. Next Friday would have no live. Sorry, man. Can't help you with that. But yeah, I think we covered a lot of the bases. And we probably should get off before my son gets here and comes crashing into the video, which I can certainly see happening. So, folks, as always, thank you very much. Really appreciate all you. This, I look forward to this all week. This is how I plan my week out. So when we do ShireCon, there won't be a Gamers Health, and I apologize for that. We're going to miss it, but we'll see a couple of you all from this live stream there anyway. So it'll kind of be like a Gamers Health, just with drinking and eating.
Mhm.
Did I say that? Yeah, probably. All right. So, folks, on that note, there'll be another video up tomorrow. I had a thought for what it was going to be. And of course, now it escapes me. So, God only knows. As always, be safe, be well. God bless. Roll those dice, roll them well. Back again tomorrow with another video. God bless.
Thanks for spending time with us, and take
Yes.
good care.
Thank you so much. All right, folks. Laters.